Aloha Kohala. It is 3 o'clock here at KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is for the next hour, Intuitive Talk Story with Isla Allgood and
Michál Anna.
Oh, say it again. I'm sorry.
Michál Anna.
There we go. And today's date is January 29th. Happy Chinese New Year. All right. Hey.
Aloha.
How are you today, love?
I am good. It is Chinese Lunar New Year as well as new moon. Big energies in the ethers. I don't know about you guys out there, but a lot has been moving over here, and I think the world is all experiencing many different things. Lots of movement. I've been feeling lots of movement, but I'm excited today.
Yes, today is going to be Michál.
Do a little something different.
Yes, we're going to interview you today. We did me 2 weeks ago, and I didn't mention to you, but like a day or two later, someone stopped me at the post office and thanked me so much for being willing to be interviewed that it gave her something. I don't know what. I didn't need to know, but I appreciated the positive feedback. So
awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to have a lovely day today. So let's start with your full name. Can you share that with everyone?
My name is Michál Anna Carrillo.
And can you share with folks where you began this 3D life?
Yes, where was I born and raised?
Yes.
I was born in Denver, Colorado. And I was actually, I was born to, in fact, my mom and I were chatting the other day. I was asking her about my birth. And so I kind of want to share something she shared. My mom, I was born 2 months early.
Okay.
So I was a preemie baby. Like they hadn't even gone to Lamaze class yet. Like they didn't know what to do, and they were 21. So when I was born. And so my mom was just graduating college the year I was born. And so she was 22, I guess, 22. They had a Mickey Mouse clock there. They were told by my auntie to time the contractions. And she came over to see them. They said, well, it's not even up to 5 minutes yet. She's like, where is it? 3. She's like, you need to get to the hospital now. They were going the wrong way in the time. Yeah. They were counting backwards. So hilarious. They didn't know anything. So at any rate, the Catholic priests were in the room. I'm a Latina. My grandmother, I come from curanderas on one side, brujas on the other, if you know what that means. But healers and people in the Latin culture, Romeros and Carrillos and Alvarados and Del Gallegos. And they all are lineages that come from healing in certain different aspects. But my grandma, here in the West, most Latin people, most of us are Catholic. A lot of Catholic heritage. So Grammy had the Catholic priest in there to give me my death rites. My father was a kind of hippie Christian preacher at the time and told them to get the priest or preacher out of there. She's going to live. She's a child of God. She is stream of living water, which is Michál, the meaning of Michál. Michál is a biblical name. It's King David's first wife, daughter of Saul, queen of Israel for 40 years. I was named after her, and because of the meaning of the name, and my middle name was my father gave me that name, and my mother gave me the name Anna. Anna was the grandmother of Jesus and the prophetess that brought forth the word. So I was named after those people. My father was a hippie Christian preacher at the time. We were in a small, church. I was like millet-eating baby. But I was in the isolate for 3 weeks, and normally a baby of that nature, my mom was saying, would be in the isolate maybe 6 to 7 to 8 weeks.
You mean like the
two premature?
Say what? In other words, in the hospital in the special unit for preemie babies.
Yeah,
right?
Where they keep you in like a little bubble by yourself, and they have to reach in there and hold you, and you aren't allowed to go home because I was so small. She said I fit in the palm of her hand. Wow. They could hold me in her palm. And she said the thing that was really paramount that she could feel of my soul in my spirit at that time is my strength and my compassion. And so they were like, she's a really strong soul. She's going to make it. And I healed really fast. So I only spent 3 weeks in there, but I spent the first 3 weeks of my life by myself in a little thing
In your bubble.
in my bubble. So I later in life, just as a note to anyone out there who might be a preemie, I did do rebirthing techniques later in life through breath and hypnotherapy to go back and rebirth my birthing process because there was trauma there and, it was intense. I had to exit quickly and all those things. So I did do healing work around that. I did find that there was a feeling of a bit of like, I'm separate from everyone, a feeling of that connectivity that I had to reconnect later in my early 20s. I did that work. So
And you found that really helpful.
I did.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work, obviously, but in
Well, we'll
lots
get
of ways.
the-
But that one was, specifically to that, I think that one, there's other things I probably did too, that combined to help it. But I think that was very helpful.
So, so you just started to talk about a little bit how you felt a little different than other people. Can you share more as a kid growing up, how you maybe perceived the world or perceived life that you felt was different than maybe your friends or other kids?
Yeah, so I was like a little adult. I hung out with the adults and I hung out with the old people and mostly. Like my mom was telling me when I was talking about it, she goes, and you always with the old people across the street. I would look for you, in grandma's house. I would be with the neighbors or when I lived with my aunt. I would be at the neighbor's house talking to the elders. That's where they would find me. I was often, I like to go there and I like to go to cemeteries. I loved sitting and going bike riding.
As a kid, you did that? And did you know why you were doing it?
No,
you just
I
wanted
just liked to
do
go
it.
there and I just liked being there and felt like I was just, walking around and help. I don't know. I always felt like I was helping. I liked magic from early on. And my dad, instilled a lot of that, I think. I had a magic box early on and we'd go throw pennies and he encouraged my imagination a lot, which I really appreciate. I give a lot of gratitude for both of my parents really allowed me to be who I am. My mother always supported me as a person. She always didn't try to stifle who I was.
She didn't try to put you in a box that she thought you should be in.
She tried to cultivate whatever gift she thought I might have. And partly she always says, I just didn't know any better. And I was young and I just didn't know. But I'm like, thank God you didn't know. And you let me go to the mailbox and put the mail in and things that kids don't do now because they're like, oh, you couldn't do it. Don't let her walk by herself. Don't let her go in the store. It was the 70s. But I went in the stores. I loved to go get the thing by myself. I loved to go do everything. I love doing all the things. And as a child, one thing to note is my parents divorced at 3, and there was the church fell apart. Kind of everyone went back into the world. I had a step family. By the time I was 9, I lived with 2 stepbrothers and a stepsister, and that was also a tumultuous, kind of traumatizing situation. We won't go too into it, but that was had some definite trauma points. That family was not real whole.
That was a challenge for you.
It
as a
was
kid.
very challenging.
Yeah. What ages were you in
From
that?
the time I was 9 until I graduated and left.
Okay. And were you living just with them or with your mom?
My mom got remarried.
Oh, your mom got remarried.
So my mom got remarried.
Okay.
So my mom and I lived on our own for 3 until 9.
Okay.
And I began ice skating. So I always felt different. I always felt like I really liked to focus. I was reading early. I was a voracious reader. I took I liked everything early. So I liked to focus. So at 5, she put me in ice skating and dance, and I loved it. So I started ice skating at 5 years old, and I literally skated 4 or 5 days a week. So I went to skating a lot.
That's a huge commitment too for a kid and for the parent taking
Oh
them.
my gosh, my mother worked, in sales and marketing and was going to work and as a single mom and was literally coming home. And back in the 70s, I teach dance now and I've done over 15 kids shows. I've never gotten parents to make the costumes that my mom made. She made full.
While she was working full time.
Right, sequence, full sewing, with patterns. They had the parents making costumes, and she made, a sequence ornate bird costume with, chiffon and all these things. Wow, she did that in her spare time. And I was in lots of ice shows. So I lived in Colorado. I got to skate at Colorado Ice Arena, which is where Scott Hamilton, who was an Olympian at the time,
I
Paul
remember him.
Wiley, Dorothy Hamill, were all
Yeah.
from my rink. So I was, 7, 8 years old on the rink on the same ice
Yeah,
with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
And they were stars in our shows. And I was a bird or a midget or whatever, like in these like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and all these
Sure.
different shows that we did over many years. So I was actually a competitive figure skater. I got to ride the bus, get special permission to ride the bus so I could go after school. And instead of going to play, there were a lot of times I was going to the rink and I went and skated and, it was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I had the ice to myself. I was also on precision team. We moved to Southeast Denver, so I got to go to Alpine Ice Arena. And I was on #1 precision team in the state at that time.
What does that mean?
It means we competed against other precision teams, and we were the best in the
Oh,
state.
nice. Yeah.
So we got to go to other ice shows and perform. Like we performed in Arizona. We got to go places, Sun Valley, Idaho. The Bloomberg and Paul White. Gosh, I don't remember all their names. They were big ice dance stars.
Did you
we got
like
to
to travel?
open. I love to travel.
You
Always.
liked that when you were young.
I loved it. So I also got to travel early on too because my parents had divorced. So my father was in timeshare. So he moved by the time I was 11. He moved to Arizona. And so I had it and he was always a weekend dad anyway. And there's some of those brings in some things I've talked about in the past, which would be more like the abandonment issues or
Yes.
father issues. I had those to
Yeah.
grapple with due to my rearing. But on another side of that, I got to travel.
Right.
I got to go to these really cool places, and he worked cool places. So I got to go to, the Lawrence Welk Resort and all these resorts and stay at really beautiful places and go, he eventually he became he was the vice president of marketing for Whistler, BC, for Blackcomb. And
Oh,
Whistler.
wow.
Yeah, for Interwest Resorts. So in college, I got to go to college. So I left Denver when I was 17.
Right.
I quit skating at 13 to dance. I tried out for the dance company that we got choreographed off ice. At the time, if you're not landing triple jumps, as a skater, you're really not going to go to the Olympics or anything. I
Yeah.
was landing double toes at 13. So I decided to switch over to dance. So I tried out for the Garluzzo Dance Company in Colorado. I made it. And so I was in the junior company and we performed at the Paramount Theater and I danced a lot
Well, and then you don't need the ice.
Yeah, then I
right?
didn't need the ice and I
Yeah.
was on the ground.
Yeah.
And so
So your dad was up in BC?
not yet. He was in Seattle at this point. But
Okay.
at this time in my life, let's see, I also started playing violin at about 8 or 9. So I played the violin and then I tried out for the citywide orchestra. So I spent most of my early youth ice skating, dancing, and playing the violin. I was in the citywide orchestra first violin, 9th chair. And I played through middle school. I quit the orchestra when I went to high school. It wasn't cool.
Yeah,
Right?
I know. I hear you. I had that experience too. Yeah.
Right.
But you put your energy where you put your energy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always felt different. And I was always counseling people. So on the side of this too, my mom had gotten us into, they were already hippie Christians before we were in that. But then, we went to like Christian camp. I got to Oral Roberts University camp, as a
gosh.
Christian, like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I went to Christian camp. I went to youth groups. I came to Source through the first door was the Christian door.
Yeah.
That was the first door for me. And I was speaking in tongues at 10 years old. What people call now light language, speaking in tongues, light language, Source light. I was doing that since I've been 10.
Yeah.
So at 10 years old, I was speaking in tongues, giving thanks and praise, playing the violin, and ice skating. That's what I was doing at 10.
That's a really wild thing to be doing at that age. So how did you where was the support? Like at the camp, they were supporting you or your mom or?
Yeah, we were Christians.
It was okay to do that.
Oh yeah,
They
we
didn't
were a
think there was
Christian
something wrong with
family.
you.
No, we're Christian. We were Christian. And I grew up in a Christian church. In a
No, I
Christian
understand.
Church,
It's just some churches wouldn't want that.
well, I actually come from the Holy Rollers. the holy roller churches where the Holy Ghost and people falling into
that's
spirit.
a good thing. Okay.
It is actually a great thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, because I know some
Well,
sects
for
of
you, maybe
Christianity.
it's not.
It's no, not. Yeah, yeah.
Like it sounds like you might have some of your own viewpoints on that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Just curious where your support was, so I'm glad to
So
hear that. Yeah.
maybe I'll just educate a little more about that, since that seems to feel like something that at the time, at those times, we were like Holy Spirit Christians.
Right.
You go read the Bible, you praise and worship. Like I sang and praised and worship. I went to praise and worship as a child, singing to God.
Right.
And like church, and I grew up in church, going and singing. So I praised God a lot growing up, and that was very much supported in my world. And in speaking in light language, or getting the spirit of the Holy Spirit, the gift of the Holy Spirit, was also viewed in the Christian church as a gift of God. It's a very much of a blessing. So I was at Christian camps where we're praising God and singing. I was in auditoriums at 11 years old with 1,000 kids my age singing to God songs. Like,
what was the impact of that on you?
well, huge. I've been with God my whole life. Honestly, I came in with Source. I've always been on the path. As a child, I was laying hands on people when I was little. Like I would heal my Grammy, and we are all my family are healers. I come from healers. My grandmother.
So it's all supported within
I come from
the
healers.
Christian stuff and with
from
your
my
family.
Yeah, because
in a big way.
A huge way. So my grandmother comes from a lineage of curanderas. We're natural healers from New Mexico, and then from Mexico. So I am Spanish, Filipina, Toltec, Apache, Atomi, and Toltec, Apache, Atomi. So those lineages, the Romero is like the herb. So we work with plants. So they always worked with plants. My ancestors, my aunties. So I come from curanderas. I grew up with my grandmother healing us. We do many natural remedies all my life. I grew up, when you have a fever, what do? We soak potatoes. For everybody out there, try it. Soak potatoes in some vinegar, and then put those on your head, wrap it up with a bandana, and that's going to pull all of the heat and the fever out of your head.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so we do that, and then we do things like, my grandma loves to say this one, and because this is I now understand, because of my own path, the physics of this, the polarity, and what she's doing. She just knows it as tradition, but she wipes one side with water. You do if you ever have a fever, you do this too. One side water of your body, then the other side, the one leg, one arm, and then switch it, one leg, one arm, and then wrap them up with a blanket, and then they'll sweat out the fever. So you're again working with the polarity, and you're helping to create balance. So things like cupping, like we call that bentosis. I didn't understand that was something like Asian people did and other people did until I was like a teenager, because in my family, I'd been doing that since I was a little girl. And what do? It's, hey, Hita, come here. Get the quarter, get a candle. Hey, get the glass. We burn the wax off the candle onto the quarter, and then we set the quarter on your back. I have to do my auntie's backs because they're always in pain. So you put the candle on the quarter, and then you take a glass cup or jar, and you put it over the candle, right? And boom, and then it raises the skin up like you do with cupping, but it's from the flame pulling all the oxygen out, and boom, and you watch the skin go up. You're like, ooh, gross, look how big that one is. And then you let it sit there, and then you pop them off. And we do those only in odd numbers traditionally.
And what's the purpose of that?
Well, it has, again, you're just more intention. It's around intention and around.
Is it taking out the illness from the body?
Yeah. You're removing illness.
I see.
You're removing tension. You're removing stress.
Yeah.
You're decompressing.
Yeah,
and cupping is a widely used. It became much later. Actually,
well,
it's
now
a
they have
service.
the tools and everything.
Well, now you can go
fancy
get it at the
tools.
spa.
Yeah.
And so like all these things, you can go to a light language workshop now. Oh, I don't know how they're teaching it, but I mean, it's not something I think you can teach. I could help you activate yourself to open your heart more, and then the grace of God, source light, your intention might give you the gift of source. You'll connect to that, but I can't give you that, so I don't know how anybody does that. So anyway, but yeah, so the cupping and the natural remedies, all that, like in speaking in tongue, my father, my mom and dad received the Holy Spirit when they were teenage at 18, 19. That's why they were Christian hippie preachers and had me, because they have a whole beautiful story, and we have hilarious stories of kind of them back in the day with,
Right.
like of all those things. So yeah, I was supported very much in that. My grandparents were very supportive in every single way. Like I had lemonade stands. My mom worked a lot, so my grandparents honestly would pick me up across town, bring me to their house, and after school or whatever. And I hung out with my grandparents a lot. My grandpa, thank God for him, was my really solid, like daily, my grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And so yeah, had a thriving lemonade stand. I was an entrepreneur back then. I, like could go up and we had a radio show in the back room, me and
Oh,
my friend
nice.
Sherry.
Yeah.
And then we had an amusement park in the backyard. We're going to have fun. My grandparents and everyone will say that my biggest motto is, are you ready to have fun? We're going to have fun. It's going to be fun. We're coming to the fun park all the time. So yeah, a lot of that.
That's beautiful. That's a lot of beautiful memories of your childhood, adolescence, into your teens, right?
It was. I was given a lot of support as a child. I come from deep support, which is why I then could go into the trauma fields and experience lots of trauma and come out unscathed.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I was given a lot in the beginning. I honestly come from a lot of love and a lot of support from my family, a really solid family and solid spiritual backing.
I think that makes a huge difference if somebody has that kind of solid beginning and then they experience traumatic things in their life. They have a place to come back to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you've experienced that for yourself.
I really have, and I now understand that, though, as being a sign up on a soul level. I signed up to do that, to understand a lot of the trauma that's happening, so I could understand it, and then lived it, so I can actually camaraderie and know
compassion,
right? And also be of service, because then I've been able to help a lot of people because I've been there. And I understand what that is and how to get out and how to
remember
change
someone
it.
saying to me many years ago when I was going through some hard times, it is hard now, but you're going to be able to have more compassion and understanding for people when you get to the other side, because you've had, we have these experiences in our life, and it can deepen us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I ended up in high school, actually, spent a lot of my time. I did sports still then, tennis, gymnastics. Actually, I did a lot of stuff. DECA, which is a business club. I was in the yearbook. Like I got to had a lot of special privileges. I was Mr. V's assistant. I could leave school when I wanted and go do errands and stuff. I was kind of like good A's, but I would miss class a lot.
Well, not everybody needs to be in class to get the A.
That's kind of what happened. And but I did get in trouble once, and that a couple times I got caught shoplifting in 8th grade, which was a big deal with my girlfriends, right? Picking
That's
up
a big deal.
Oh yeah, my mom took me to a parole officer. Scared. I was like, take me to the jail, not my mother, because at the time my mom was she was a force. She was a force.
Yeah.
And she took me to
big
old, her friend who was a preacher, and he had his own congregation, African-American brother and big guy, and he was also a parole officer, and it was her friend. And she took me to him. He sat me down in his office like, so you want to lead a life of crime, do you? And like literally we went to service at his church, and like that was like my penance kind of thing. Yeah. And then later I got in trouble for school. I ditched class a lot to counsel my friends.
Yeah.
So I was counseling people in the parking lot while I should have
high school.
Yeah. While I should have been at school, I was doing emotional therapy. That's what was happening.
So you went to college. You decided to go to college out of high school.
Yeah. So I did.
How did that come about?
At the time, that's just what you did.
Yeah.
Honestly, there was no question about it. I was going to go to college.
Yeah.
There was no other thing I was going to do. And I had been already very deeply interested. I wrote a lot. I was a poet. At the time, I wrote a lot. I was writing stories, creative stories, loved writing. I had a really great high school English literature teacher who we actually studied the Bible as literature.
I did that too.
I
Yeah.
loved it, right?
It was great.
Yeah, so that really was a foundational beginning of my study. I would say my college years, I went to Seattle. I was able to go to Seattle because my dad lived there and I got in-state tuition.
Yep.
So I went to UW, University of Washington.
That's a good school.
It is. I have a degree in English creative writing. I have a BA.
Yeah.
And that I was an English major, poet. I was actually published as a University of Washington bricolage poet. I did poetry readings. I went to poetry slams a lot during that time. I was constantly reading and voraciously studying religions. I was studying all the religions at that time. Every book I could get my hands on. My entire focus was, this is not it. I had to say I'm looking for the golden thread. So I spent 19 on really on the inquiry of are we and what are we doing here. I knew this wasn't it. I knew we were in some crazy thing. I knew there was more, and I was voracious about finding it. And I really focused deeply on that, as well as be like understanding everything, like an anthropologist. I grew dreadlocks at 19. I was like, I'll go sit with anybody, go hang out at the Blue Moon Tavern and hang out with the Grateful Dead. I went to Grateful Dead shows, I did all the things. I've done like a million things kind of person. Like I kind of went into
Tried all different kinds of people.
Yeah, I've kind of gone all over the place and sat with everyone. I kind of like love them all. I love them all, no matter who they are or what costume they're wearing. We're all just the same thing. And I loved understanding that. I wanted to understand that as a soul. I'm 50 now, and I'm 19, just trying to understand, where are we, who are we, and who are the people here, and what's the need? I don't know. I just felt driven. That time, I just felt driven. The golden thread was always the thing that can come back to me. I know there's a golden thread. There's a truth in everything, but there's BS in everything, and I just have to find the truth. And I was really committed to that.
What did you find? What did the studying religions do for you? How did that change you, studying all the different religions, having grown up in a particular religion?
Well, I realized that Christianity was a leaping point for the greater source, that they all have a piece of truth in them. Every religion's got a piece of truth. None of them have the whole story. All of them have a piece. If we put them all together, hey, we might have something interesting. And if we take out all the man-infused projections that get put upon it.
Right.
So the essence really is what was Jesus saying in the first place? These things I do, you shall do, and more. I am the infinite light. I am me, you are me, I am you. It's pretty simple. We are the absolute. It really comes down to this. There's only one thing, and everyone's really fighting, trying to say it's their thing, but there's only one thing. So if you put everything together and just go, hey, let's make a circle and call it a day, like give thanks and praise, we're in a circle, we're all unified field. We're
part of that unity.
We're all the unity.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways to understand the unity. There's a lot of pathways to get to that information. There's no right way. We're looking at a huge giant fire from over there. You're like, oh, it's so purple. I'm like, I see green. But we're both right.
Yeah.
Because that's happening in that fire. I just can't see from your angle. So, we're just seeing
different perspectives. Yeah.
But it's one thing. So for me, it was the continual motion into understanding unity. But then I was also, of course, dealing with trauma. Like, I came from some abandonment stuff. I was dealing with emotion, and I was realizing, these emotions are ruling me, and I was very emotional, and I was empathic, very empathic, and I didn't realize even until later in life how empathic I actually was, because I felt everything, and I felt all the people. So at 21, when we're traveling across the country in patchwork corduroy that I've made clothes and selling things on the road, I'm still in college, but in this, we're traveling around. I went to Vegas, me and my boyfriend, who's also doing the same thing. We're like, and I'm like crying in Las Vegas, like they're all asleep. Everybody's crazy. They're all like eating these crazy things. They're all like stuck in this crazy world, and they don't know who they are. And I'm like, we have to get out of here. So at 21, I was very empathic and very sensitive, feeling all.
Well, that's
of the
amazing that
world.
you would know what it was, though, because a lot of empaths go into a situation and they're upset, they're bothered, but they don't know. But you knew there was something going on there that you needed to get away from that.
Yeah, well, for me in this run, I've come to understand myself quite a bit at this point. So
Yeah.
interesting if we just put it like an astrology. I'm earth, water, and fire. So I have the trine going on. So I have all three equally. My true nature is Pisces, like the fish, you know,
Yeah.
the soulful. I'm my internal, like in the avatar place, the meaning like in this earth game, this is what I'm working with, is what I'm trying to say. I'm a soul who's come into this earth game, and this is kind of the setup. Your astrology helps you understand your setup, so to speak. So I'm fire on the rising, and then I'm earth, Virgo in the sun. So my Virgo nature Virgo, shout out to all the Virgos out there, because we know we have this different thing that no other sign has. Honestly, the Virgos, I know if there's a Virgo in the room, everything will go right. I can leave the room if there's a Virgo in the house, because Virgos just have this innate thing. You just like, it's just easy. Like the earth thing, there's just something about it. Just makes it like, yeah, no worry. Got it. Here you go. And so that has really, I think, makes a huge difference in my capacity with the amount of water I carry. Like it really helps me navigate that. Like I'm not a double water, you know, for instance. So that groundedness even, and I think that's actually something, anyone out there who knows me, I'm kind of like I often hear like the most out there, I'm the most out there person a lot of the people I know. And at the same time, they'd probably also say I'm one of the most grounded. Like I get a lot done. I'm to my word.
Right.
I don't have any problem with earth stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a rare combo in and someone who does as deep of dives as I do and dimensional stuff. So it is a little interesting. And early on, Isla, that was really hard to navigate. I felt like three different people in the same body. Like, how do I navigate that? Like, I'm feeling so much, and at the same time, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm like, dun, 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 hey, let me entertain you. Or, like that fire, is like it all about, the social thing. And
so kind of bringing into balance,
and
it took some time for you to
it did.
get that. Well, is this a place we could take a little station break?
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a station break and come right back with Michál Anna Carrillo.
Kohala Night Market will return this month on Wednesday, February 5th at the Kohala Village Hub outside next to the mural. The theme this month is Ha'ole La Aloha. The night market will run from 4 to 7 p.m. with food trucks, crafts, jewelry, baked goodies, art, and information booths. For more information, you can follow the Kohala Night Market on Facebook or Instagram. That's Wednesday, February 5th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Village Hub. Mahalo.
Aloha. This is Isla Allgood of Women's Voices. Please join me on Wednesdays between 4 and 6 p.m. on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. We never quite know what we're going to be hearing because most of my choices are intuitive, unless they come from you, my listening audience, when you call in and make a request. I look forward to playing tunes for you.
The Kohala Community Land Trust is having its first annual membership meeting at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 28th at the Hub Barn. The Kohala Community Land Trust is a community-run organization dedicated to the creation of permanently affordable housing in Kohala. The goal is to support and stabilize homes and businesses for and by the people of Kohala for generations to come. Community members over 21 can go to kohalacommunitylandtrust.org and apply for membership. Dues are $20 per year. At the meeting on Tuesday, January 28th, the voting membership will elect board members for the coming year and weigh in on priorities and policy issues. For more information, email kohalaclt@gmail.com. That's kohalaclt@gmail.com. Your participation matters. Mahalo.
Aloha. We are back here on January 29th, 2025 at 3:35 p.m. with Michál Anna on Intuitive Talk Story. This is Isla Allgood, and we're having interview day today, getting to know Michál. So let's, because time is flying, let's bring us into this beautiful place that we all live. How did you, what brought you to Hawaii and to visit and to live?
Well, let's see. I actually, I was in college. I've been to Oahu because I had a roommate in college. And actually, the boyfriend I was talking about that we traveled all over, he was originally from Oahu, too. So I'd kind of already been around some local style. And I had that kind of planted in there. But I was traveling after college. I graduated at 22, went and traveled around the U.S. with a friend, have some really magical stories that happened in there. And then I kept running into people I was traveling that asked me if I was from Hawaii. I'm like, no, I'm not from Hawaii. It happened like 4 times. So I was like, okay, Spirit, am I supposed to go to Hawaii? What's going on? And then I run into my friend Todd, who was one of my roommates up in college. I lived in a big house with 12 people at one point. And he's like, oh my God, I just ran into our friend Taylor. He lives in Hawaii. You should go visit him.
Wow.
I'm like, you're not being obvious. I guess I'm going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So I, at the time, had been contemplating going. I had just been studying with Hannah Kroger and her Boulder Herb School, and I had contemplated doing an internship with a healer in New Mexico to go begin learning that. I was just starting, right? And I was doing energy work at the time. I was doing Reiki, and I was studying energy, but I hadn't gotten a license of any kind.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to massage school and to come to Hawaii. So I looked in the phone book, or I looked up, and only one popped up. It was the Big Island Academy Massage, Nancy Calavai and Paul Rambo. Thank you. They're no longer there. Many moons have moved forward.
Where was that located?
In Hilo.
Okay.
The academy's there, but run by different people. And at the time, I bought a $300 Subaru, lived on the floor of my friend Taylor. I wrote him a letter at General Delivery, told him I was coming. Could he pick me up? Could I live on his floor? Bought a $300 Subaru, went to massage school. And in meditation in Puna, where I was living at the time, I heard go to Hawaii. I told my massage teacher, Paul, who had a girlfriend up here at the time, I need to go to Hawaii. Could you take me up there? And he said, sure. So he brought me to Hawaii the next day. He introduced me to his friend, Robin Leonardi. Some of you might remember her. She used to be the proprietor of the Bamboo Gallery. And she and I met that day, and she said, hey, so you want to open up a burrito bar? And I said, yeah.
Just meeting her?
Yep.
Wow.
We went to have dinner. And she said, and I go, Source was all over me. I just live on Source, always have. I go, yep, that's what I'm doing here. I literally opened a Mexican restaurant 5 months later in Hawaii called Hula La's Burrito Bar. I borrowed $10,000 from my mother, $10,000 from my father. They gave it to me, and I opened a restaurant with $20,000. Her idea. She had the space over there. She had Hula La's, and I had all the recipes for the food.
Nice.
I made all the food, and she had the locations. I taught Haunani and Christina and Faith, shout outs, and Lana. They all worked with me in the beginning, down in the beginning at Hula La's, their first jobs out of high school, and was their 24-year-old boss, and had my little restaurant over there. And I was going to massage. I was apprenticing with Kyoki Staub at the time in Waimea. Thank you, Kyoki, to get my license as a licensed massage therapist in Hawaii, which I became an LMT in 1999 here in the state of Hawaii, which I have been a therapist all these years and a practicing therapist ever since. So
that got you up here.
Yeah.
So then you regrounded up here.
I was brought up here.
Yeah.
Source brought me here, and I met everybody, because I had that little restaurant. I was the little red wagon taking my little burrito stuff from what is now Mi Ranchito. That is my original kitchen. Those peppers on the wall there, I hung them there in the year 2000.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Eric Chera, who brought those back from Mexico. So those are still on the wall 24 years later.
Wow.
So, that ended up ended up basically, that was Human Lessons 101. So back to kind of intuitive talk story part. I was felt very awake, and all these magical things were happening at this time in my life. And at 24, I was then they're like, okay, it's now time for you to do Human Lessons 101. You got to work through all your trauma. Okay, here you go. And you're going to do a restaurant with Robin. And and she's kind of an intense, big personality. And it was a lot of like, yeah, you'll be done when you love her. Go. And it was, I was all in. And
Yeah.
it took me, quite frankly, till 2019 to move through all the many lessons that Source and Pele and all of my mini guides have taken me through to understand and know myself and love myself, truly love myself. And that was, but yeah, that brought me here to Hawaii. And I then started teaching the children. I was started as a dancer. I was led into West African dance. I started doing West African dance. Adrian Vanberg, myself, Josie, started doing that down south in the year 2000. I began seriously studying that form of dance, going to seek out camps and different things around Maui and La Sensua. There's many people. Shouts out Marty
And
to
that,
these
was
people.
that something that came to you, or you were seeking
Again,
it?
I know, just came to me.
Just came
Fell in
and-
my
and
lap,
you're like,
I
"Oh,
just
okay, let's
loved
do
the
that."
movement, and I
Yeah.
loved it. I just felt fully drawn. Again,
Yeah.
just following the feeling.
Yeah.
Following the feeling, I felt fully drawn to do that. Felt drawn to learn and to expand, and that form of movement has been a great form of expansion, of learning so much growth in myself, in my body, and in teaching other people, you know, fusions of these African hip hop, West African specifically movements. And they're all, you know, things to open us up. And the real point of many movement is really to unlock you and allow you to feel your own self, your own heart, to let go of anything that we don't need. And that's where I taught dance from since then, where I always used it as a way for us to get free and love ourselves. And I was on that journey myself, using it and just come join me doing it. I'm doing it. You want to come? So that's kind of what we did. So I did about 22 years of Lava Roots Performing Arts, which I founded here in 2002, and served Arcohala schools, elementary, middle school, 15 years. And I did 15 years of summer arts programs, theatrical programs for ages 6 to 12 at Kahilu Theater, Hawaii Preparatory Academy, and Waimea Country School. And thank you to the Dorrance Foundation for supporting a number of those years, as well as all the beautiful families I got to experience and children we got to raise.
How do you like working with the kids?
I
Obviously, it works for you.
love the
You've been doing
kids.
it. Yeah.
The kids are real and amazing. I still work with the children
Yes.
and teach in the schools and do some work with kids and kids programs, music, dance. Really, their music and dance is a way to do right-left brain connection, which, as you've just heard from me, I obviously believe in. I was a child that engaged in a lot of right-left brain connection. So I see the importance and the value and in how quick it can make you to expand and to groove neurons, I like to say. So I love grooving neurons, and I love grooving neurons with little people who are just so activated and ready to receive and so open and so capable. I love giving them way more than, than many people think can be handled, because we're so capable. And so I love pushing the envelope in general. I love empowering people in general. Most of my journey has been about empowering myself and empowering others. And I've just kind of been empowering everybody where I'm at. And then the further I go, I'm like, well, let's go here. Do you want to be powerful too? And now I'm going, you want to be powerful and eat your superfoods and be powerful with me. And because I think that's what we all have the capacity to do. Studying all those things has led me in a deeper dives into, obviously I've been a massage therapist. I became a reverend in maybe, 15 years ago as well. I've done some weddings and married a few people, and, held numerous ceremonies and have held that space quite a bit in numerous capacities over the years. But in the last 5 years, I would say it's gotten really exciting for me as a person in the path of consciousness, because like I said, I walked through that door in 2019 of really loving myself. And that took 10 years of working in Africa, me going to Africa 7 times and meeting all my reflections and and my movies and helping and trying to be of service in places and do things and learn, and a lot of growth that I'm not going to get into on this show about that whole. So that's a whole show in itself. After my journey in Africa, in Guinea specifically, but that's a whole show and a whole adventure. But yeah, very growthful, and all these experiences in the nonprofit work and in helping and in experiencing some big traumas myself have allowed me the ability to create my own systems to get free, because I had to get free, figure out ways to find them. And I did. I would have to say that the majority of what I've learned is from this land, from Hawaii. I want to give a real shout out to Hawaii. Ha, the breath, vai, the water, E, the creator God, which has really taught me everything by putting my hands in the soil, by letting go, by breathing, by being in the water. I started surfing. Thank you, Eric Kuchera, for teaching me how to surf long ago. All those things humble you, school you, teach you. And this place and the elders and all of these beautiful people in this community, Kohala people, have taught me, schooled me, grown me. I've watched them. I learn. I'm grateful. Kumureli Lancaster, rest in peace, who I got the pleasure of dancing hula with from the time with my Tita Sala and many others. Adrian, hula grew me a lot. Kumureli, allowing that presence to be part of my reality is such a gift. Being able to throw my dreadlocks into Hali Ma'u Ma'u with Pele when I'm 26 years old. These really pivotal moments, and then the immense amount of travel and depth of people that I've sat with in poverty, sickness, and beyond across the planet has been really impactful, and it has cracked my heart open. It has humbled my spirit. It has grown compassion in my being, and everything I share now with you all on the radio, it comes from all these places and comes from deep dive works with numerous clients over many, many years. But this last 5, doing really deep dives in that capacity. I kind of, after I walked through that 2019 door, my guides, which I work with about 10 of my guides consciously, shared with me that I would be removing all the hardware from the star seeds. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, that sounds fun, and I don't know what that means. And then I spent the last 5 years learning about it in session work and doing it, just learn as you go in the unity field. And what does that mean to you out there? Go in the quantum field. We talk about the field a lot, that meditative state, that field. It's a lot we can do there, right? All these tools I talk about, it's here in that quantum field that we get to really play and move these things and get free on a really, really long, big level.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you clearly experience, the multi-dimensions that exists in our world. When you encounter other people in your day-to-day, you must see things sometimes for them or with them or about them. How do you decipher, it's not my business to tell them that or to share that with them, that's about them? How do you boundaries? How do you do
Honestly,
boundaries?
it has been a task.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a task. It's been a task. I would say I'm way better now. Because I'm a practitioner, I have really clear boundaries about other people's stuff.
Yes.
Like I don't talk about people's stuff, and I've never whatever. And I don't want to remember everybody's thing because it's too much to remember.
Gosh, no.
I can't deal with all that. So whatever, I helped you. Great. See you next time. And wherever you are next time, awesome. I don't hold anything in that regard. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to walking, that's different because I'm in a role.
Yes.
You've agreed we have an agreement, and then we go into sacred space, and then we leave it and bye. And we just give thanks.
You let that all go.
We let it all go.
Right.
But in regular life, you walk around, you don't have those agreements.
Right.
So in the past, there has been times I have stepped on my foot. I have put my mouth in
foot
in the mouth many times. I've offended people. I've said the wrong thing.
Because you spoke up.
I spoke up something. And for me, most of the time, it's not a big deal. I just think it's you have dirt on your face.
Right.
And I'm just helping you see it. But most people, I didn't understand at the time that someone might not be ready to see that they have dirt on their face, and then now they're taking it. They think I'm actually judging them, or
you're in something that they don't want you to be in
right,
their
or I'm
space.
just reaching into their space. And
Right.
so I didn't understand, though, earlier on, like you talked
Sure.
about the empath.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that was different.
Yes.
I thought everybody
You have to
could do
find your
that.
boundaries. Yeah.
I thought we
Yeah,
I thought we all could do that. I thought we were all experiencing that. Like, you don't see
Sure.
that? You don't see it? You can't see that? I didn't know that. That took me until this last year, actually, Isla, to really understand that. This last year, after I crushed my life and crushed everything, did I finally understand that people are not experiencing or feeling the amount that I am at a really, 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 really deep level. I did not understand that. I thought actually people felt more and could see more like what I'm seeing. I thought people could do that more. I didn't understand that. And I've honestly hurt myself quite a bit in my life because I didn't understand.
So you're better able to see that now, so your boundaries are clearer for yourself, you
Yes,
think?
and I've been practicing those boundaries many times. Like, I am under the strict, if somebody doesn't ask you, don't say anything.
Yes.
If they don't ask you for help, you can't help them. Because
Yes. That's boundaries.
and I've
Yeah.
experienced, because even when I've tried to help, I did that. I tried to lead a horse to water and make him drink. It doesn't work. I had to.
No, they just kick you.
They just kicked me in the head. That's what happened. So I learned.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to learn the hard way because I'm fairly hard-headed myself.
Well, and I think it's good for people out there to hear that, because there are people with all different levels of abilities where they can read and feel and sense other people, but also maybe to have somebody like you come and want to tell them something about their energy that they don't want to hear, that they can say, I'm not interested in that, thank you. Like, I'm
We all
working
have to
boundaries
have
in a big way.
I know. That's your good thing.
Yes.
And that's true. I love that you bring that up. And
Yeah.
it's true. I am learning to be better in all those ways still. Like, there's constantly work. I don't think any of us have it all figured out. We're still here. We got plenty
still
to
here.
do. So I definitely put that into practice. But in general, I hold the framework at this point in my journey
Yeah.
that if someone doesn't ask me for help, I really can't help them. And so if you need help, ask.
So you're at your 50 year mark
Yep.
right now. As you look forward into your life, do you have a sense of what else you're here for?
Well, I gotta say, Isla, it feels like more fun.
More fun.
I feel like a lot of fun. So here's a message to everyone, every star out there who's on the path, all of us. If this is a message for all of us, not just me, it's all of us who are embodying and choosing wholeness, who are choosing to rise into higher frequencies, to let go of our pain, our trauma, who are choosing to go, and right now a lot's going on in the ethers. I was, in some this morning, just letting go of the intensity. There's so much happening on the planet. We're all feeling so much. I was crying and feeling the intensity of everything, and the intensity of the pain of surrender to that which is not seen. There's so much that isn't seen yet on this time flame. This is one timeline. If I can say this to anyone out there, it's like we're in a location. We can plant certain seeds, give thanks, plant some seeds, and be grateful and vibrate. So for all of us out there who are choosing wholeness, get whole, and then just be whole and have fun and vibrate. And the more we vibrate the wholeness, the more we vibrate that fun, you are actually changing the rest of everything else because we're vibrating, and we are vibration. The essence of this whole game is vibration. Everything's vibing to you or vibing away from you. And so if it's showing up in your face, we talk about the mirrors all the time, all the traumas, I brought those to see something. It's my movie. I'm learning from my movie, and it was pretty dramatic, let me say. I'm pretty imaginative. So I had a pretty dramatic movie of seeing all sorts of things all over the world and breaking my heart and all kinds of things. And what do I get to do with that? Give thanks that I learned something. It's just an experience, people. I'm in a movie. I got to remember, I'm in a movie. Don't take it all so seriously. Don't hold on to it. All this stuff I just told you is experiences from this round, one of my lives, which is great. But this isn't all define me. This isn't all of my soul and all of who I am. It's just one little section of something we can share together. So if we all see that we are all big, huge energies, all of us, and we have lots of stories, actually, we don't want to hold on to any of our stories. And Source is asking of me greatly not to hold on to my stories. Whew, we're all getting it wherever we're getting it, but hey, keep letting go. So I just let go and I go, thank you, God. I let go. I give it to God. I give it to Source. I allow whatever it is for me, whatever I'm supposed to do. Doesn't matter. I'm unattached and amused. Let me vibrate and do the work of Source. Let I just be a blessing. Let I just vibrate wholeness. If that's all I do and I do nothing else, that's enough. And that's the true, like I have lots of imaginative ideas, lots of inspirations.
Right.
Sure, you might see lots of fun projects come out of this vessel, this temple, still to come. There's lots of more fun to be had. But that stuff is just the fun that we're going to have to expand more consciousness. What really matters is that we're vibrating and that we're putting our awareness into being. Right? And just listening. So I don't have to know, and nobody needs to know. In fact, let's switch the brain. Let's flip that script, because the way forward for us in the new cycle is not from what are you going to do with yourself? What do you think about what your next step? That's how we've all been taught. We lived in the West,
Yes.
right? Our next step is, hey, get excited to allow the unknown. We don't know what's coming next, and we're going to sense and listen into Source. Anything could happen. I'm ready for anything. I'm totally whole. I'm free. I'm sovereign. I'm awake. I'm enlivened. Anything's possible. What do I feel excited about? And listen, does that feel like a wholehearted yes? Yeah, I want to go to that. Sure. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to some fabulous show tomorrow. Maybe I'm going to meet up with a friend. Does it feel like a wholehearted yes, or does it feel like a no? If it's not a wholehearted yes, I guess I'm not in. So what am I excited about? Continuing to follow divine source, listening, sensing into my life, connecting authentically with every being that I get to share time with, having an authentic moment that meant something now. This could be it. This could be my last moment.
That's
the
right.
portal could open right now and I could go.
Just suck you right
This
out.
could be right now. It with Isla. I got to make it count. Like, this is all I
Yes.
got. So
Yeah.
all I got to do is be right here, present with what's happening, sensing in a balanced magnetic electrical vessel. What does that mean? My alpha omega upright. What does that mean? You're not running two magnetic energies, two electrical energies, or an inverted energy. You're running an upright magnetic and upright electrical that are functioning properly to create a foundation of wholeness so they can work in harmonic balance, and we can live from this unified place inside ourselves and project the reality we want to see. Because it's like that little, does anybody remember the golden child? The little Buddha boy.
Yeah.
If they poisoned him, right? If you eat all the poison, then you got holes now, because you
Right.
let in the bugs. This
Right.
is straight to the truth, people. You eat the poison, you let in the bugs, now I can get you. But if he doesn't have any bugs in him, what did he do? They tried to poison him. He'd flip the bowl over with his mind. He'd see the blood and everything.
Yeah.
He'd pull a little leaf out of his pocket, eat a little leaf, and go back to meditating. Because now if he touched somebody from that whole place, he turned them back into God. And they started laughing and playing like a kid
Yeah,
and
yeah.
being fun.
Yeah.
That's the truth, people. It's
Yeah.
like as simple as the golden child. Eddie Murphy, hey, knew. They showed us in the 90s.
Yeah.
Literally, if we just, be the golden child. Just everyone go out there and be the golden child. I roll like Frodo. See, are we not looking for the power? You can carry the ring. I'm not looking for the power. I don't want the power. I roll like Frodo. I'm here for the love. I'm here for the thing. I'm here to just be. I'm not here for the thing. Everyone's looking for the thing. Another spoiler alert, little quick note out there. That's the trick. Everything's trying to get you to desire something. The less you desire, the freer you are. So reach for nothing. Be, sense, listen, expand into this now moment. I think that is all there is for us to do.
Let's take a breath together, and I want to give you great thanks for being so open and honest and vulnerable and real and sharing parts of yourself that we haven't heard before, because we've been doing the show for a few years and we share bits and pieces, but I think it's been really helpful for me to hear your whole story. And this is, of course, just one piece of it, but it brings certain aspects of you to another light. So thank you for that. And thank you to those out there listening for supporting the radio station and what we've been doing here for a few years now. And we'll continue to, as long as the vibrations guide us in this way.
And to close out, because I brought up my family, I do just want to say a shout out to my mother, Karen Alvarado, to my father, Raymond Jude Carrillo. Yes, we've had our issues, but he has definitely been there for me, and we've healed many, many things. And I feel very whole with my family at this point in my journey, and I'm really acknowledge how special and grateful I am around that. So I acknowledge my parents and who I've come from, and my grandmother, Loida, and Mark, and I'm so grateful for all of my family and the lineage I come from. They have truly are standing with me. I stand with my ancestors with me here and now, and I pray for all people to come into their wholeness and to have your soul be supported and know that you are supported and loved.
Thank you, Michál.